There is one truth, one single philosophical insight that, once fully understood and integrated, destroys every form of weakness, dependency, and victimhood that has been limiting your life. Every other principle, strategy, and insight is secondary to this one foundational understanding that separates the strong from the weak, the sovereign from the enslaved, the powerful from the powerless. You've been searching for it in the wrong places your entire life, haven't you? Reading endless self-help books that provide tactics without foundations, consuming motivational content that fires you up temporarily but changes nothing fundamentally, trying different strategies, systems, and approaches while the core weakness remains untouched. None of it works because you've been treating symptoms while the disease remains undiagnosed. Here's the one truth that will destroy your weakness forever. You are the sole author of your experience of reality, not your circumstances, not other people, not your past, your trauma, your genetics, or your conditions. You, and only you, through your interpretations, meanings, and responses, create your experience of everything that happens. This isn't motivational rhetoric. This is the fundamental insight that every strong person in history has discovered, while every weak person spends their life denying. Today, I'm not just explaining this truth, I'm proving it, demonstrating its implications, and showing you exactly how accepting this one insight destroys every form of weakness that has been limiting your power and potential. But here's your warning. This truth is devastating to the weak identity you've been maintaining. It destroys every excuse you've been using. It eliminates every justification for your current limitations. It removes every person and circumstance you've been blaming. Once you truly understand this, you can never again pretend that anyone or anything outside yourself is responsible for your experience. By the end of this video, your entire relationship to reality will be permanently altered. If you're ready to have your mind changed and your weakness destroyed, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to prove will eliminate the fundamental illusion that has been keeping you powerless. Understanding this truth intellectually is worthless without practical implementation. Here's how to actually live from complete responsibility. Practice 1. The stimulus-response gap. When anything happens, good, bad, or neutral, pause before responding. In that pause, consciously recognize that you're about to choose an interpretation and response. This conscious recognition prevents automatic reactions and activates your power. Practice 2. Interpretation. Examination. When you experience negative emotions, trace them back to your interpretations. What judgment are you making about the situation? What meaning are you assigning? Identify the interpretation generating the emotion. Then consciously consider alternative interpretations that serve your strength. Practice 3. Narrative revision. Regularly revise the stories you tell about your past, your circumstances, and yourself. Not to deny reality, but to interpret it in ways that serve your power rather than explain your weakness. Practice 4. Responsibility. Claiming every time you notice yourself blaming circumstances or others for your experience, consciously stop and rephrase. I am choosing to interpret this situation as limiting. I could interpret it differently. Practice 5. Empowerment questions. Replace, "Why is this happening to me?" with, "How can I respond to this powerfully?" Replace, "Who's responsible for this?" with, "How am I creating my experience of this?" Practice 6. Future projection. When planning or worrying about the future, recognize that your experience of whatever happens will depend entirely on your response to it, not on what actually happens. Practice 7. Present moment. Anchoring. Anchor yourself repeatedly in the present moment where choice exists. The past is dead, the future uncertain. Only now contains actual power through response choice. These practices transform the intellectual understanding into lived experience that actually changes how you operate in reality. The final step is integrating this truth so completely that it becomes your default operating system, rather than an insight you have to consciously remember. Integration 1. Automatic awareness. The pause between stimulus and response becomes automatic. You no longer react unconsciously, but naturally create space for conscious interpretation choice. Integration 2. Interpretation mastery. You become masterful at generating interpretations that serve your strength, creativity, and power, rather than defaulting to weakness-serving interpretations. Integration 3. Emotional intelligence. You understand emotions as feedback about your interpretations, rather than information about reality, using them as data while maintaining sovereignty over your responses. Integration 4. Circumstance. Neutrality. Circumstances become neutral raw material for your interpretive creativity rather than determinants of your experience. Integration 5. Unshakable core. You develop an unshakable psychological core because your well-being no longer depends on external conditions, but on your sovereign response capacity. Integration 6. Wisdom development. You continuously develop wisdom about which interpretations serve strength versus weakness, refining your interpretive capacity over time. Integration 7. Teaching capacity. You become capable of teaching this truth to others through your embodiment of it rather than just intellectual understanding. When fully integrated, this truth doesn't just change your mind, it changes your entire existence permanently. Understanding this truth intellectually is worthless without practical implementation. Here's how to actually live from complete responsibility. Practice 1. The stimulus-response gap. When anything happens, good, bad, or neutral, pause before responding. In that pause, consciously recognize that you're about to choose an interpretation and response. This conscious recognition prevents automatic reactions and activates your power. Practice 2. Interpretation. Examination. When you experience negative emotions, trace them back to your interpretations. What judgment are you making about the situation? What meaning are you assigning? Identify the interpretation generating the emotion. Then consciously consider alternative interpretations that serve your strength. Practice 3. Narrative revision. Regularly revise the stories you tell about your past, your circumstances, and yourself. Not to deny reality, but to interpret it in ways that serve your power, rather than explain your weakness. Practice 4. Responsibility. Claiming every time you notice yourself blaming circumstances or others for your experience, consciously stop and rephrase. I am choosing to interpret this situation as limiting. I could interpret it differently. Practice 5. Empowerment questions. Replace, why is this happening to me? With, how can I respond to this powerfully? Replace, who's responsible for this? With, how am I creating my experience of this? Practice 6. Future projection. When planning or worrying about the future, recognize that your experience of whatever happens will depend entirely on your response to it, not on what actually happens. Practice 7. Present moment anchoring. Anchor yourself repeatedly in the present moment where choice exists. The past is dead, the future uncertain. Only now contains actual power through response choice. These practices transform the intellectual understanding into lived experience that actually changes how you operate in reality. Let me prove this truth by showing how it systematically destroys every common form of weakness that keeps people powerless. Weakness 1. My circumstances make me unhappy. Destroyed by countless people in objectively terrible circumstances who maintain contentment while others in objectively privileged circumstances experience misery. Your happiness is not caused by circumstances, but by your interpretations of circumstances. Change interpretation. Change experience. Weakness 2. My past trauma controls my present. Destroyed by people with identical or worse trauma who function powerfully while you remain limited. The trauma itself isn't controlling you. Your current interpretation of that trauma is. You're choosing to give the past power through present thinking patterns. Weakness 3. Other people make me angry/sad/anxious. Destroyed by The fact that the same person or behavior that triggers your negative emotions doesn't trigger them in everyone. If others controlled your emotions, everyone would have identical emotional responses to identical situations. They don't, proving emotions come from internal interpretation, not external causes. Weakness. 4. I can't help how I feel. Destroyed by your own experience of feeling differently about the same situation at different times or after reflection. If feelings were automatic responses to situations, they'd be consistent. They're not, proving they're generated by changeable interpretations. Weakness 5. I need certain conditions to be happy, successful, powerful. Destroyed by every person who achieved happiness, success, or power without those conditions, while others had the conditions and achieved nothing. Conditions are excuses, not requirements. Weakness. 6. It's not fair what happened to me. Destroyed by the fact that fairness is a human concept that reality doesn't recognize or implement. Demanding fairness from an indifferent universe is choosing weakness over accepting reality and responding powerfully. Weakness 7. I have no choice. Destroyed by the fact that even in the most constrained circumstances, you retain choice about interpretation and attitude. This is literally the one thing no one can take from you unless you surrender it through refusing to exercise it. Every single form of weakness depends on the fundamental delusion that something external controls your experience. Once you recognize this delusion, weakness becomes impossible to maintain, honestly. Chiri. The implications. What this truth demands. Understanding that you're the sole author of your experience through your responses has profound and non-negotiable implications for how you must live. Implication 1. Complete responsibility. You must accept complete responsibility for your experience, not blame responsibility. You didn't choose what happened, but you choose what it means and how you respond. This responsibility cannot be shared, delegated, or avoided. Implication 2. Excuse elimination. Every excuse you've ever used is revealed as a choice to interpret circumstances as limiting rather than neutral. Excuses are comfortable lies you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of exercising your response freedom. Implication 3. Perpetual choice. Every moment presents a choice about interpretation and response. There is no autopilot that absolves you of this choice, only the illusion of automaticity you create by habitually choosing the same interpretations. Implication 4. Suffering optional. Suffering beyond unavoidable pain is entirely optional. It's generated by your resistance to reality and your interpretations of circumstances, rather than by the circumstances themselves. Implication 5. Power availability. Power is always available because it resides in the space between stimulus and response. You can access it at any moment by exercising conscious choice about interpretation, rather than defaulting to habitual reactions. Implication 6. Growth requirement. Since you create your experience through interpretation, improving your experience requires improving your interpretive capacity through learning, wisdom development, and philosophical understanding. Implication 7. Isolation. Irrelevance. Whether anyone else understands or supports this truth is irrelevant. Your power doesn't depend on others' recognition or cooperation, because it resides entirely within your sovereign response capacity. These implications are not suggestions. They're logical necessities that follow from the fundamental truth. You cannot accept the truth while rejecting its implications. When you fully integrate this truth, specific transformations occur that destroy weakness permanently. Transformation 1. Victim to author. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as the author of your experience. This shift is not gradual. It's a fundamental identity change. Transformation 2. Reactive to responsive. You stop reacting automatically to external stimuli and start responding consciously based on your chosen interpretations and values. Transformation 3. Dependent to sovereign. You stop depending on external conditions for your well-being and become psychologically sovereign. complete in yourself regardless of circumstances. Transformation. 4. Weak to anti-fragile. You stop being weakened by adversity and become anti-fragile, actually strengthened by challenges, because you interpret them as opportunities for development rather than evidence of limitation. Transformation. 5. Controlled to controlling. You stop being controlled by circumstances and others' actions and start controlling your experience through conscious interpretation and response choice. Transformation. 6. Excuse-making to responsibility. Taking. You stop making excuses for limitations and start taking responsibility for creating the experience you want through powerful interpretations and responses. Transformation. 7. Victim mindset to philosophical strength. You stop operating from victim consciousness and start operating from philosophical strength. The recognition that nothing external controls your experience unless you surrender that control. These transformations are not incremental improvements. They're fundamental shifts in how you relate to reality itself. The foundational truth is this: between any stimulus and your response lies a space of consciousness where you have complete freedom to choose your interpretation and reaction. This space is where all your power resides, and weakness is nothing more than ignorance of this space, or refusal to exercise the freedom within it. Viktor Frankl discovered this truth in Auschwitz. Epictetus taught it as a slave in Rome. Marcus Aurelius practiced it as emperor. The Stoics understood it. The Buddhists knew it. Every philosophical tradition that produces genuinely strong people has recognized this fundamental reality. Here's what this truth actually means. Interpretation freedom. Nothing that happens to you has inherent meaning. You assign meaning through interpretation, and you can choose different interpretations that serve your strength rather than your weakness. Emotional sovereignty. Your emotions are not caused by external events, but by your judgments about events. Change your judgments. Change your emotional experience completely. Narrative control. The story you tell about your life, your past, your circumstances is entirely your creation. You can rewrite that story at any moment to serve your power, rather than explain your weakness. Victim impossibility. Once you understand that you create your experience through interpretation, victimhood becomes impossible. You can be harmed, but you cannot be a victim, because that identity requires believing others control your experience. Circumstance. Irrelevance. Your circumstances matter far less than your response to them. Two people in identical situations can have completely different experiences based entirely on their interpretations and responses. Past powerlessness. Your past only has power over your present to the extent you give it through current interpretation. The past itself is dead. Only your present thoughts about it are alive. Future freedom. Your future is not determined by your past or present circumstances, but by your current choices about interpretation, meaning, and response. When you fully grasp that you are the sole author of your experience through your responses, every form of weakness that depends on external blame becomes impossible to maintain. If you've genuinely engaged with this video, your mind has already changed. You cannot unknow what you now understand. The question is whether you'll act on this understanding or pretend you can return to comfortable weakness. You now know. You are the sole author of your experience. Your weakness has been a choice, perhaps unconscious, perhaps habitual, but a choice nonetheless. Every moment going forward, you choose strength or weakness through your interpretations and responses. The old excuses are dead. You can never again honestly blame your circumstances, your past, other people, or conditions for your experience. You know better now. The power is yours. Between any stimulus and your response lies infinite power to create your experience. That power has always been there. You've just been refusing to exercise it. Start with right now. Whatever you're experiencing in this moment, you're creating through your interpretation. Change the interpretation. Change the experience. This isn't theory anymore. It's immediate, available power. If this video has changed your mind and destroyed your weakness, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This channel exists for people ready to leave weakness behind forever. In the comments, share the one excuse you're eliminating based on this truth. Your commitment could inspire others to claim their power. Share this with someone ready to destroy their weakness, but only if they're genuinely ready. This truth is devastating to comfortable victim identities. Remember, you are not weak because of what happened to you. You are weak because of what you've chosen to make it mean, and how you've chosen to respond. Change the choice. Destroy the weakness. Your transformation from weakness to strength starts with one truth. You are the sole author of your experience. This video has changed your mind. Now change your life. The strong version of yourself has been waiting for you to claim this truth. This is your moment. Subscribe for philosophy that doesn't comfort your weakness, but destroys it completely. This is not entertainment. This is transformation through truth. Your future strong self will thank you.